What is a logarithm?
Oh boy. So, I can definitely answer that. Logarithms are, it seems to be that logarithms are one of those kind of, I don't know, mythical math terms that just sound really scary and really difficult, but it's not actually all that difficult. Really, it's a very useful tool. So if you come to my screen, I'll show you an example of where they can be used. A logarithm essentially is just the inverse function of an exponential function. And what I have on the board right now is an exponential function. And what makes it exponential is the fact that this x is my exponent or my power. When you start learning algebra, the idea is to isolate x, to get x by itself, or to isolate the variable, to get it by itself. If you can isolate it and get it by itself, you can solve it. Usually, the steps that you do that are undoing things. So for example, if I had something like 3 times x equals 24, I could undo 3 times x by dividing it by 3, or both sides by 3. And then I've gotten x by itself, and I've essentially solved it. Well, when you have x as your exponent, there's not really anything that you can do to undo that. And so what we do is we use logarithms to almost rearrange these terms so that we could get x by itself. The rule is, and I'm writing it on the left-hand side of the screen, if you have the exponential function b to the x power equals a, then you could rewrite it as log base b a equals x, and thus getting that variable by itself. So if I had this equation 2 to the x power equals 8, the way that I could get the x by itself is to rewrite it in logarithmic form. So log base 2, because 2 is my b, it's in that same position as the b is over there, and then 8, which is in the same position as a with our rule, and then equals x. So at this point we have x by itself. You could leave it in this form because technically, again, you've solved for x, but really, I don't know, log base 2, 8, that doesn't really mean much to me. So what you really want to do is calculate that number out. And the way that you would do that is we use a change of base formula because it's difficult. You can't really type this in on your calculator with this base of a 2. So I'm writing on the left-hand side the change of base formula. If you have a log with base b, a, then you would rewrite that as log of a divided by log of b. And that's the way that you could type that into your calculator to find out what it is. So this logarithm that I have that I'm solving, I could rewrite it as log of 8 divided by log of 2. And then when you do that, and you can type that in on your calculator using that log button if you've got a graphing calculator. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but it's right next to the 7 on if you've got a TI, Texas Instrument calculator. But what would end up happening is it would equal 3. And so then therefore x is 3. So basically a logarithm, although it sounds like a really complicated word, and that's like a lot of math, I don't know. It's not a log either. It's basically just a way to solve equations where your variable is an exponent or the power. So hopefully that helps.